Hello, welcome to another episode of Cal's Questions in association with Ampersand Productions. I am the titular Cal. I will be asking the titular questions. And as always, I am joined by Paul, my co-host and producer. Paul, would you like to say hello first of all?
Hello, my name is Paul, aka Ampersand. I will be here in the background asking follow-up questions and making sure everything goes smoothly. So if it doesn't, I take no responsibility.
Okay, that's not fair at all, but okay. Yes, and we are joined by another fantastic guest. Delighted to be joined by a fantastic TTRPG role player, podcaster, entertainer, someone who always brings excitement to stream games and shows and podcasts and all sorts, and also a very big supporter of all kinds of charitable causes as well. An all-round good egg, and also known as the TTRPG Swiss Army Knife, Amber,
Ooh.
aka the Space Jammer. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Here's my knife.
Oh, I've got to ask you before anything else. Why the TTRPG Swiss Army Knife?
Honestly, it started in a group chat like 6,000 years ago where I was just like, I have so many different things that like I learned in college with my media arts degree that like kind of makes me like a jack of all trades for this industry.
Yeah.
And the person in the group chat was like, "Oh, so you're like a TTRPG Swiss Army knife or whatever." And I was like,
That's cool.
That's it, boys.
That's my entire personality now. That's who I am.
That's so cool. Well, give us a bit of a background then on how you got into TTRPGs in the first place, if that's all right.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you both so much for having me,
All right.
Paul. I've been like, you've did incredible work on Hellbores and all of the like video assets for that, and like Soul keeps singing your praises, so it's great to like get to know you.
You don't need to blow up Paul's ego anymore. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they do. More guests do. Okay, they do.
I try to be a gracious guest. But yeah, how I got started. So I don't want to say like completely by accident because that's not true at all, but I was a member of like this like the science fiction fantasy guild in college, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I'm putting together like a game of I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like the Pokemon tabletop game that's based on 3.5."
All right.
And I was like, I've been interested in Dungeons and Dragons, and no one's playing like Dungeons and Dragons right now, so because I think that was like peak 4E phase, and like no one wanted to be involved. So yeah, that was my first TTRPG, was that like Pokemon game, and we were playing like a grim dark version where like Silphco had taken over all of Kanto, and it was like 100 years after this like mass extinction or whatever, and so like Team Rocket was actually like being revived to take down Silphco. It was like this big like beautiful anti-capitalist like story, but then the table fell apart for very terrible, unsavory reasons that I don't feel comfortable getting into.
No, by all means, don't.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I, the events of that table kind of set me. I was like, okay, well, if this is what playing, like, if this is the culture of TTRPGs, I don't want to be involved. And then, so I had like taken, several years off, and I got back after a coworker at a former job reached out to me, and he was like, "Hey, you're like the only other nerdy person in HR. Do you want to like come play D&D with me and my friends?" And I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, we'll give it a try." And that sucked me back in, was learning. I mean, like relearning D&D that way. 5e had been introduced and was like very popular, or picking up steam rather. Like, and so that was me getting back in. So I think. Shoot, that was oh yeah, hold on, that was 2017. I thought it was 2018, but looking back, yeah, that was the end of 2017. Nice. And ever since then I've just been back on. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's, oh my god, 5 years is crazy, but the COVID time warp has just ruined
Yeah.
all sense of time. So
That's cancelled a lot of
Yeah.
time out. And can I just say, thank you for coming back and taking taking it all on and coming back to TTRPGs, because the community is a lot better for it. I'm sure Paul will agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you're not the first guest we've had on that has said, "Oh, my first experience was terrible for this reason or for whatever reason," and it is such a
Yeah.
shame that that's their first experience. Because my first experience with D&D was fantastic. It was amazing. It was It was the most chaotic thing ever. That sort of defined me as I've moved forward, as I've never really stepped away from that. But to hear such sad or defeating stories of people's first time, like, no, this is a magical, amazing thing. Like, without it, a lot of us, our entire personalities might change. Yeah, really pleased that you did come back. Give it another try. Was it 5E, your second attempt?
Yeah, it was 5e. It was so that first game back was like a story in and of itself. It was it was pitched by my coworker to me as like, oh yeah, just bring your husband over. It'll just be like one night, we'll play D&D one night, and then y'all can stay over. We'll have like latkes in the morning, and you can go home. And I was like, great, I love latkes. We ended up being there for 3 days.
Oh, wow.
The one shot turned into like 3 days of just because he wanted.
So, sorry, Amber, you were saying a 3-day stay.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it was a 3-day stay, and he was one of those like railroady DMs that wanted you to like go through every single plot point that he had prepared, and because it was like a holiday theme one shot, so he wanted to go through every single holiday in the year.
Oh, wow.
When our whole thing was we were just saving Santa Claus.
Okay.
So
Did you end up saving Santa Claus? Do you remember? Was Santa
we
Claus?
did.
Yay.
We saved him from the Crimborg, yes. But after that, we like started, we started like going to Adventure League at our local comic book shop, and it was a lot of fun. And then COVID ended that, so that's when we made the pivot to online.
Yes.
I love the online thing. I mean, it's opened up a lot of doors, and it's had a lot of benefits, the whole online thing, and it's become more of a global thing for me, and I know others as well, playing with people from all over the world, which is not something I really did before COVID hit, to be honest. And so, to be sat here chatting with you now, I mean, I know it sounds a bit dark to say, but lockdown and all of that stuff is kind of a reason behind it, I guess. But
the amount of people I've heard refer to themselves as the COVID generation in terms of TTRPG community, because I'm the same, Cal. Like, I had played D&D and I really enjoyed D&D before COVID, but none of us had anything to do. We couldn't leave the house. We couldn't do anything. We just had our online friends, and I come from a gaming background, so I already had a bunch of online friends. So I was like, should we play D&D? And I caught the bug again. I was like, yeah, I love this. I love Roll20. I love doing D&D online. What can I do with that? And then it grew and grew and grew, and now I'm interviewing one of the most exciting people in TTRPGs. So yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know about that, and that's like part one, the imposter syndrome, but also part two, the mental illness. But no, I mean, I there's something I also like truly viscerally miss about playing in person, and part of it is definitely the snacks and drinks flowing freely, but like the other is like just being able to like sit around one particular spot and just like be there and be present with other people for several hours at a time. But at the same time, I also understand, as an immunocompromised person, that that's not always reasonable. And that's how you spread communicable disease. So
maybe not.
Yeah.
So what sort of... sorry, Emma, go on.
Oh, no, I was just saying, but like, I think we're just getting back into... I like this approach of like hybrid games almost, where like, there have been times throughout lockdown where it's just been like me and my husband and like one friend, all on one side, and then we'll have other friends that like are in other locations, and like it's kind of that same like in-person feel because we're all started part of the same like bubble versus like but yeah, I can go on.
Yeah, I mean, so what sort of projects are you doing at the moment then? What streams are you involved with? If you could tell listeners and viewers that.
Oh my God, everything. Hold on, let me just pull up my calendar.
You are
Let's see.
busy.
Yes. So actually the biggest thing, and when this actually airs, I'm about to go to Gen Con. And I'm very excited because I'm running I'm running 2 games at Gen Con, sorry. So that's intimidating.
Just for those who don't know, what's Gen Con? Just for those who don't know.
Yeah, Gen Con is the largest TTRPG focused convention in the United States, and like, but they've been super duper strict. Like they've been doing weekly updates affirming that they will be requiring vaccination cards, they will be requiring masks at all tables, they will have people like monitoring to make sure that you are wearing your mask at your table, and that they are making sure that like each table has its own dedicated spot so that you're not breathing in the air of like 500,000. I mean that was a hyperbolic number, but like they're being very very safe and legit about it, especially after the handler at PAX passed away this year, which could have entirely been avoidable.
Yeah.
But and I mean, so I'm really excited about that. I'm running 2 games there for this up and coming system called Divination, and it's a tarot based TTRPG. So instead of like rolling dice, what you use is like your tarot deck, because in a standard deck of tarot there's 4 suits, and then like normal like 13 cards per suit, and so you use that, and like the random numbers you pull there mixed with like the interpretations of the cards to determine like the fate of the character. So it's really really intriguing. I played that at my first Gen Con online, and I've like been hooked ever since. So I'm excited to bring it to other people.
Oh, I'd love to give that a go. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. What other stuff you got going on? You got Gen Con coming up. What about other streams?
Oh my God. Oh boy. Shoot.
As you frantically look through your massive list that you.
Well, I'm a Virgo. I have a very good relationship with my calendar. Well, by the time this airs, everything that's on the books will have passed.
That's okay. You can talk about those, like.
Okay. I'm gonna be on Weave the Tale for like a 6 episode engagement of Shadowrun starting this week. I need to finish my character for that, but yeah, that's gonna be really exciting because I've never played Shadowrun, but I will do anything for Mitch from Weave the Tale, so there's that. Mitch will say like jump, and I'll be like, all right, cool, how high? Like that's just how I feel about Mitch. I'm doing more and more stuff with Girls Run These Worlds, and they're doing a series of charity streams and like other intermediary one shots. And I actually might be planning for the fall a Monster Hearts 2 short shot, like 4 or 5 episodes of Monster Hearts 2, kind of modeled after Twilight because it's the Twilight revival. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm hosting at Rainbow Roll Fest this weekend. The end of June is gonna be absolutely wild, but still filling it up for.
Yeah, this is why we got you. This is why we got you on now and not at the end of June. I know we're recording slightly in advance, a month and a half.
Yeah.
But like, if we don't get her now, she's never resurfacing ever again. So we wanted you here.
Understandable, yeah. So I mean, and then of course the Skyrim, which is the normal thing that I've been doing with Homie and the Dude for the past like couple months. We do it in like hour-long episodes, but it's a D&D 5e actual play where we're going through Bodhi, who is the one of the two of the father and son duo of Homie and the Dude. He's created this like vast world that's just really intriguing and beautiful, and also very anti-capitalist. We love to fucking see it. Oh, we'd love to see it. Sorry,
it's fine.
You told me to refrain, and I tried.
We are keeping that in just for you. That was a great.
Dang
split.
it! Dang it! Anyway, but yeah, so we're continuing that too. I'm so excited. That's honestly one of my favorite tables to sit at. That's
so cool. I wanted to ask that question of what's coming up because well, I've seen it. How much stuff you got like going on all the time, and yeah, that's just an example of to our listeners and viewers that how in demand you are to feature in these streams, and yeah.
I'm gonna push back on that just a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot. It's because I'm actively seeking it out because of my mental health issues.
Okay.
I'm how do I phrase this? It's like if I sit idly by and like I don't fill up my time, then the self-defeatist like attitude starts, and like it just spirals and spirals and spirals. So like really it's really just me doing what I can to like take care of myself. And it's a weird way of self-care, but I mean by slipping into another character for a couple hours, a couple nights a week, it helps keep the demons away, then hell yeah.
Look, you speak. I look. I totally understand. I have, and I've said this before in interviews that I've done. I have really bad OCD. It takes over my life, and it is.
I'm so sorry.
Hard going. It's thanks to TTRPGs and playing online, and it's exactly as you said. It's when you're playing. And when you're involved in these projects, I don't have it, and I don't feel it. So it's a similar thing to you. I get it, and it's always nice to have things to look forward to. And look, TTRPGs are awesome, and
yeah,
I totally understand. So actively seeking it out, yeah, I mean, if the reason you're doing that is because you can feel the benefits from it, and I totally understand that, but it's you're good when you're doing them, though. That's the point, though, is that these people aren't gonna, if you were awful at this, they probably would turn you away. But I reckon, and if someone said your name and said to turn up at a table, they would bite your hand off and have you at the table because you're very, very good at it. So you may be actively seeking it out, but when you're at the tables, spot on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my little, that's just my.
I don't know what to say to that, but again, that's the I'm not deserving of praise, and that's what I'm talking about with my therapist in therapy over the past couple weeks. So
I'm glad
thank you for making me do my therapy homework.
That's all right. I'm glad it's helping with you, and I know, and I've heard from many people that it helps a lot of people with it.
Yes.
Playing TTRPGs. I felt that firsthand. So, what you've said there is not. You said it's weird. It's not weird. It's becoming a known thing that helps.
It's a sadly common thing that like a lot of people, rightly so, and it's a wonderful way to deal with it, are using TTRPGs to work through their mental health issues. I know that I dipped my toe into TTRPGs, and then something in my real life happened, and so I threw myself into TTRPGs as a form of escapism. And escapism is a hell of a drug, and I'm still doing it, which is, like you, I mean, if I sit still, I think my own thoughts, and I'm like, no, I'm good, I'm going to go into that world, and be there. So yeah, can completely relate to that.
I'd be a wizard.
Yeah.
It's so much easier that way. Actually, no, I wouldn't be a wizard, I'd be a monk. So.
Ooh, that's a good one. I definitely sold my soul to Dolly Parton, so I would be a Dolly Parton warlock, but there's, she can...
I'm getting that vibe. I'm getting the vibe, yeah. I'm seeing it.
There she is. For viewers, there is a fantastic... for listeners, as you can see. For listeners, there's a beautiful picture of Dolly Parton in the background.
Yeah,
Of,
I've
Ampersand.
recently had a discussion with my partner, who's known as Lolly, on here, and it was a case of like, I am Paul for very few hours of the week. I'm normally Ampersand, or I'm whatever my work number is. It's why I refer to myself as Ampersand, because I enjoy being Ampersand way more than I enjoy being Paul. Like, by a lot, because Paul has gone through some shit, and Paul doesn't have time. Whereas Ampersand hasn't gone through any of that. Ampersand runs Homebrew Havoc. Ampersand is a player in Blades of the Dark. Ampersand interviews people.
The word's escapism, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what it provides. And so, thank you for sharing that with us, by the way.
Yeah.
The way to it. And it needs to become more commonplace where people are happy to open up about it. It took me a long time to open up about OCD and how TTRPGs have benefited me. So thank you for sharing that, by the way.
No, thank you for being open about that as well. I mean, I know that particular struggle is very difficult to even just deal with on a day-to-day, and speaking about it normalizes it. So thank you genuinely for sharing that.
Here we are.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Back to the TTRPG world in its I want to say simplest form, rolling dice and the such. Playing or DMing, which do you prefer?
Oh my God, listen, you can't make a bisexual choose. So... no, but it's true. I enjoy sitting at both sides. God, there's no like PG-13 way of saying this.
We're not PG-13. It's just YouTube doesn't like swearing. You can say inappropriate things as long as it's not profanity.
Okay, as long as it's like veiled heavily. Okay.
Yeah.
So I enjoy sitting on both sides of the table, like genuinely. There are days where I'm just like, you know what? No, I want somebody else to like take the reins and like take me through their story, and you know, it's me living through my character and experiencing that and seeing how they process the story beats. But also there's just something to be said, and maybe it's like, you know, the former like, you know, stage manager in me that from my days in theater, but like there's something I really viscerally enjoy about like GMing and like helping other people navigate those twists and turns like I do in character, you know, helping, you know, or empowering the players, well really the other players at the table, because obviously a GM is a player too, you know, helping them make decisions and push the story further into twists and turns that maybe even the GM didn't anticipate, you know, and that's what I love. So it's like it's for me at the end of the day, it's not about like what role I play, it's about how we are telling the story and like how we're moving it along and how we can keep not only listeners or viewers engaged, but ourselves as players and active participants in the story engaged. So that's my number one. So
that's absolutely brilliant. Paul, what are your thoughts?
So I say how recently this interview has been rescheduled, viewers and listeners, from about a week ago due to some issues that we all had.
okay.
But when I thought about this question, I was going to say I've recently seen, but it's no longer recent, so I'm still going to say it because it was in my head. I've recently seen you, I believe it was you, get into a chat, a discourse with somebody else on Twitter about the power dynamic between DMs and players.
And
I believe
that was a week ago.
yeah, recently at some point. And I remember the person who started the chat said there needs to be a power differential between DMs and players. They need to be separate entities. The DM has to have a final say and sometimes influence that onto their players. And you disagreed. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind talking about that, how you feel the relationship between players and DMs should be versus what it might be at the moment. How do you feel about that?
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, I think we're, again, all active participants in the story that we're telling. By relegating it, I mean, let's go back to that 3-day holiday fest that I had a couple years ago. Like, that DM was so hell-bent on telling his story his way, having the character having the characters make the choices that he wanted them to make. And that takes away a lot of the fun for the players. And especially, God forbid, I had to go and see him at work the next day because I spent 3 days at his house. Anyway. But still, like, there are times when, like, all sides of the table can be way too power hungry, but that's why you have open communication between your players and your GMs. That's why you have a session 0. That's why you keep those lines open even beyond the session 0 to make sure that everyone is still telling the story that they want to. Yes, the GM is the one that, sets up the world, but just because the world's set up doesn't mean that the players don't have the power to influence and, make the world their own. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. I think it's like it's the people.
It's like
who...
the dance.
Yes. Ooh,
Okay.
Yes, I prefer that.
Go for
That's
it.
better than what I was going to say.
Carry that metaphor forward, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, even, in something as structured as, like, partner dancing, I mean, the lead and the follow still have moments where they swap roles, quote unquote, or, like, where the follow can in turn choose to do a couple extra rotations or, indicate that they want to do a flip. Sorry, I also was a swing dancer in a former life. So
a swinger, she switches, she's just...
LOL. I mean, it just, that's how I feel, is like, if you're, but at the same time, I also understand, like, where in a GM spot where they're like, okay, I'm trying to keep you on track and you're going down the goblin path, like, there should also be some room for the GM to be able to say, okay, let's pull it back just a little bit. And again, but it's part of that push and pull. It's not like one versus the other. It's, we're here to tell this story. We're here to, like, make this grand adventure that at the end of the day is about us, and if we're saying and just telling the story that we want to tell, then that's the goal. But yeah.
I think it's kind of like if a GM or DM is, really concerned with, railroading the narrative and making characters do what they want to do, they should probably just write a book rather than a game, because it's everyone's story and everyone has seeds they want to sow in it.
Well, and I remember that conversation you're talking about, Paul. And like, I'm actually very, very, very good friends with the person that started that conversation.
Yeah, they're all it was a polite discourse even while people were disagreeing with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, we were able to, like, have that open and frank conversation of, like, our perspectives, and, like, that particular person, like, came up into TTRPGs in a very specific certain way, and I understand, like, that background, but again, mad respect to that person. I love them dearly, and they're a wonderful dear friend to me, and I'm glad, holy shit, that we could have had that discourse that didn't, like, end up turning into a blow up.
Absolutely, like, too many times that sort of topic as well, with polarizing opinions, can just, like you said, blow up and just dissolve into name calling and whatnot.
Yeah, dear listener, this has been being recorded the day Satine Phoenix announced that she's going to do some Instagram live about addressing all that nonsense. So whatever.
I didn't know that, so that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna do it, and it's anyway.
Let's not get into that.
Some context.
That is, I mean, what I've seen from that is shocking, and I'll say no more about that. Let's leave that there.
One listen.
To focus it back on your point and to move away from all the other crap. With Homebrew Havoc, I feel like I'm less and less of a participant in that game every week. No, but in a wonderful way.
Sad.
No, in a wonderful way, because I love that. I love the fact that my players are taking hold of this universe that I created and just taking it in ways that I could never possibly imagine. Partly because they're slightly crazy. But I love that. I'm like, roll with it. And whenever, Cal's involved, whenever one of them messages me going, can I do this? Or can this be involved? I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's see where that goes. That'll be exciting.
Well, so the game I've run the most recently, excuse me, is Visigoths versus Morgoths, which I'm on record as saying that is my favorite TTRPG, and
Ooh.
everyone should play it. But that game is so sandboxy, and that like you can have as GM, you have like the time limits that you like set for the story beats, but that's it. Like you have the clock ticking down, but that's it. Like you don't. That game has so much like weird nonsense that is capable within the realm that like you can just say, okay, as GM, I just want y'all to figure out what you want to do, and you can interact with the NPCs however you want, with consent, of course, and just, I mean, it's a great time, and all I want to do when I'm in that seat is just empower the players to have fun and make goofy decisions. I don't want to tell them no unless they're actively causing harm to other people or like actively causing harm to other players or even NPCs, because I'm the NPC. So, Yeah,
Yeah, that's really good. I noticed. Well, you work in social media strategy, isn't it? That's kind of like another area you're involved in, one of many.
Yeah.
And I mean, with that, have you got any advice for someone in the TTRPG sphere to boost their profile on social media?
Oh my gosh. It depends. And
I
it
love
also
throwing
depends on
these
platform.
questions at people. I love throwing the difficult ones out there. I'm so sorry, but yeah,
No.
go for it.
You're good. I think it depends on, well, it depends on the platform you're trying to use.
Yeah, I guess
That makes
you're right.
sense. That makes sense.
Let's take Twitter, because that's
That
where
is my main one.
That's where I am. Yeah, go for it. Let's go Twitter.
I'm gonna be completely honest. The more you use Twitter, the more you talk on Twitter, the more you get your stuff out there, and not only just like post natively onto your like do your own organic tweets, but like respond to other people's tweets, and actively like look and see what's trending and hop on those trends. God, it's so stupid. I hate the algorithm, and I hate this is what I'm doing professionally. That's what works. It's what works. Like, Twitter is a tool for conversations. It is not just a tool for like, all right, I'm putting myself out there and I'm hoping everyone sees. You have to be as equally engaged in the platform as you expect people to be engaged in with you. So just like going on a self-promo Saturday post and dropping your links and running, and not like actively talking to other people. I'm calling y'all out, not you specifically, but if you're listening and you do that shit, that's bad.
I think
because like the algorithm hates that. It hates that. It wants you to stay in that thread as long as possible. So that's just my number one.
Yes, it's a social media that encourages you to be social and actually chat with people.
What a
That's kind
concept.
of I know. That's it, right? So, I've made a lot of good friends through through doing that, and if it likes that as well as a bonus. But yeah,
I know I'm guilty of that. Not so much the link dropping and running on like SPS or whatever, but I know I don't talk organically on Twitter nearly as much as I should, because I just see this tweet after tweet after tweet, and I'm like, that's a lot. That's just a bit much for me. I'm gonna step away now, and I've only had it open for 30 seconds.
Right. I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that like you need to dedicate your whole life to it, but I mean, consider like the ratio of what you're posting.
Yeah.
You probably want to do like 30% organic posts to your own tweets, your own timeline, and then like a 70. Yes, a 70% of responding to other people.
Okay.
I went into media. I didn't go into numbers.
I can tell.
Yeah, like that's you want to be looking at that particular ratio of like.
I'm nearly there.
I mean,
I'm 95% not organic and 5% organic, but I'm so close to that 70. I am. I'm bad at Twitter. I have a media manager for that. I outsourced that because I just didn't want to do it.
Understandable. If you can afford to do that, then great.
Oh no, I did say I could
Great.
afford to do it. I've just done it. It's not the same thing.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely fair.
With TTRPGs then, which is kind of what this podcast is all
Sometimes.
about.
It is.
Yeah, I know, right? It's surprising. Influences for you then. Have you got like a big influence in the industry who you really look up to or take advice from, or that you base your style of playing and DMing on?
Oh my god. I mean, the actual play that really sunk its claws into me at the beginning of the pandemic, like literally as the pandemic started, Crown of Candy was airing on Dimension 20.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was like, I want to be Brennan, I want to be Allie, I want to be Emily, I want their entire play style, all of them. I'm like, that's what I want to emulate. Like, one, being able to go off into diatribes about how much capitalism and monarchy and all that sucks. Love that. Number one. Two, but like also it's just the way that they're using, I mean, like D&D really, the way that they do it in Dimension 20, D&D is just a device for the character growth and like the personal growth you're seeing at the table. And I mean, I don't know, like I've not been able to like get into like Critical Role as much, and I don't know what it is. I can't like quite put my finger on it, but like I connected very deeply with the usual table at Dimension 20. And so yeah, that's those are like, I don't want to say they're like my heroes because pedestal and hero worship is weird to me, but they're contemporaries that I would enjoy sharing a space with at some point.
Well, if Dimension 20 are listening, tell us, because that would be amazing. But also, get Amber on your show.
Siobhan, I have a crush on you. If you're listening.
Same for me and Emily Axford, by the way. So, yeah.
In the loveliest way, guys, I've never watched any Dimension 20 or Crit Role, so...
Okay, Dimension 20 has like chaos in the best way. I think
seen clips of Dimension 20, and every time I see, I don't know his name, the Dungeon Master? Brennan. Every time I see Brennan do something, I'm like, that's so cool.
That's great.
I'll watch it next week.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want a recommendation on where to start, I would honestly don't start with one of the long campaigns. Start with Tiny Heist, which is it also stars the McElroy brothers, like the McElroy family, and several others. Erika Ishii's not on that one. She's on a different one, but oh my god, Tiny Heist is so wild and like goofy and outlandish, but like in the best way, because it's all about like a bunch of toys coming to life and saving the child that they grew up with.
Ah, that's cool.
And like a 4-part arc. So
very nice.
Really recommend that one.
Toy Story meets Toy Soldiers. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's very that.
That's so cool. Yeah, they are good, and Paul, you should give them a go. So as we've got about 10 minutes left. I want to ask you if there's anyone out there that maybe you should thank for allowing you on streams and things like that. Anyone who's helped you along the way to get to where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I owe so much to, like, I hate to be like, oh, they're my core group of friends, but like really,
that's okay.
I do not know what I would. Well, I don't want to sound like elitist. It's just like, I don't know what I would do, what I would have done without like the advice of like Matt from Dungeon Glitch and Matthew from Abyssal Brews and like Allie from Dice Drop, Christine Color, like Eli, Lex from Titanomachy. Like, these are people I'm like talking to. Oh, Shane from Fat Magic. Oh my God, Shane has like changed my life irreparably. Like these are people that like I talk to every day, and like and not even like on a TTRPG level, but on like a personal level. Like, yeah, I don't know where I'd be without them, and it's really, I'm
It's
grateful
okay,
to-
Amber. It's okay. Don't cry, please.
Oh no, I'm genuinely like
Oh.
these are
No.
like people I'm like grateful for, and like the past year with them in my life has been
Yeah.
that's
No. I mean, it's great. It's just these are the connections people make through the hobby, and
oh my God, hope for TTRPGs too.
Yeah.
I cry every time I talk to her. She's just the most wonderful, sweetest person, and like she inspires me to be better every day.
We are planning. I can say this now because when this airs, everyone should know. She's going to be our final guest on season 2 of Cal's Questions. Hopefully, if
She's
we can
so
pin her
good.
down for an hour, because she does so much. She puts the rest of us
She
to
really
shame.
does.
But I've been on stream with her before. She is absolutely fantastic. She's not got an unwholesome bone in her body.
No,
She's
my
just
God.
a wonderful person through and through.
Like it is so funny to hear her say in her tiny squeaky voice. She's like, "Well, when I'm not on stream, I'm saying the F word all the time." I'm like, "When? When, Hope?
Don't lie to us, Hope.
I don't believe
No.
that for a second.
I love just straight up whiskey." I'm like, "Where? Where? Show me the receipts. What whiskeys are you drinking straight
I
up?"
would love to see Hope down some whiskey. That'd be amazing.
That's
That's what we're doing on that interview. Jesus.
you've shattered my perception.
No. She's a sweet little innocent bunny rabbit. Why are we lying
Yeah.
about this?
Yeah.
She is. And sweet little innocent bunny rabbits also need, they also need a treat. So,
Yeah. She does so much for a lot of people out there.
oh my God.
She's been mentioned before on this show, and same goes for in terms of thanking Bristle Brews as well.
Yeah.
It's been mentioned a few times. These names keep popping up, and these are the people we need to highlight and thank, and that keep the values of what, in my mind, the TTRPG community is. We forge genuine connections just by rolling dice and playing silly characters, and it blows my mind. Not to mention all the mental health benefits that you said earlier as well.
Right.
So, honestly,
Well,
it's a privilege to be a part of it. It really is. That entire list, brilliant. I mean, a few of them I've spoken to, a few of them I haven't, and I'd love to get the chance to speak to them because everything I see of them on Twitter, especially, is just really good. It's just good eggs, just solid good eggs. So
yeah.
I put you in that category as well, Amber. By the way,
Of course. And I want
I'm
you to
a-
know
I'm a
that
devil egg.
people have thanked you as well when we've asked that question. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember who, but I also can't remember everyone we've interviewed. But people have mentioned Amber of SpaceJamber, which, by the way, I've just realised has your name in it. I didn't realise until very
just
recently.
realised that?
Yeah, all right, okay. So I don't look at things very well, right? I need glasses. The next. I don't know if one of the interviews I will suddenly have glasses. It probably won't be the next one, but at some point, because I'm getting glasses on Saturday, so that might help.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. They're very expensive, people. Don't buy glasses if you don't
Oh my
need them.
God.
copy me. That's what he's doing. He's shaved his hair, and now he's getting some glasses. So you're just doing.
Well, I don't need these to see. These are actually like, you can't tell, but they're like blue light glasses specifically. Because, I get migraines. From staring at screens for too long. Amazing. But yeah, these were way too expensive for just fancy blue light glasses. Warby Parker, I would like a word. But also, But I mean, Cal, going back to what you said, where it's like, oh, it's amazing that we're making communities based off characters that we're playing and rolling dice. But like, we put so much of ourselves into these characters.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not just like, oh, this is my funny little wizard, and he's like, every single one of my characters that I play in like long-term games has something that I want to like work on for myself. Like my homie and the dude character, I'm playing like a Genasi, Air Genasi monk, and they have religious trauma.
Wow.
And so do I, baby.
Wow.
They grew up in their like sect, and they're like, and believing one thing and being told like that this is what the person I believe in like is supposed to represent, and then they go out into the big world and like, no, baby, the god you believe in is a demon.
Oh,
Wow. I mean, yeah, I've heard that before as well. You know that people putting themselves into characters and working their way through things. I've done that myself. I totally understand. And yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit.
No, even like as a forever DM, like all the characters in Homebrew Havoc, they're a part of me. They're little different parts of my personality, whether it's George, the guy who's a bit of a douche in charge of the police, or Custard, the otter, who's a bit go-lucky and happy, and I made a friend, I'm so clever, I made friends. Even my mods of the chat, my wife and a friend of mine said, Custard the otter is just poor when he's had a monster or two. Like, yeah, it is. Like, that's me. Hello, I made a friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Even DMs, like forever DMs, I don't get to play characters too much, but even all of my characters, all of my NPCs that I make have a little part of me in them. And that's wonderful. I'm down with that.
Yeah. I played I played a character with OCD once. This is before I told anyone that I had it. And that was my way of exploring what was going on and how people would perceive it. It was through role playing and through TTRPG, which then led to me to have the confidence to come out and just say I straight up had it. So
good.
Yeah, it was like a 3-game campaign, and perhaps it's something I would like to explore further in a longer campaign. But that is an example of what you touched on there, with putting yourself into characters. So,
Thank
you're
you
right.
for that vulnerability. Like, thank you for sharing, and I appreciate you having the courage to speak up about that, because I know it's a lot. So,
my main thing is being. Comedy and voice acting is what I do. So, most of the time I'm being funny, but it is so important to have these,
I gotta admit, Cal, you're
discussions.
Yeah, you're a braver man than me, because it is so rare that I talk about Paul, so to speak, and the things that I've gone through, especially in the TTRPG space. I just don't do it. It's gonna be a rare opportunity.
Understandable.
A year and 2 months ago, I lost my daughter. She was 6 weeks old, and we lost her due to a heart issue. And I don't talk about it on the internet in the TTRPG space because I don't want to. So
Heavy. Yes. Oh my god.
I vent about it, and I'm only saying this now because Father's Day in England is coming up either this Sunday, so in about 5 days. And it's the second Father's Day I will have since having a child, and I'm not excited for it because it sucks. But yes.
God, I'm so sorry, and may her memory be a blessing, genuinely.
And,
her name was Faye. Her name was Faye. Her name was Faye. Faye Aurora Valentina Doughty, her name was. So, yeah.
She had a beautiful name, and I'm sure she was beautiful in the time you had with her.
Yeah. I've actually got a tattoo with her name on it. Tattoo.
I look at that.
It's so
it's spelt wrong because I can't spell things. Apparently, tattoo artists don't spell check. But it's very nice.
Paul, thank you so much for
no worries, man.
sharing that on this.
Yeah.
It is
I
a
didn't
one
mean to
time
pull
I
this
will
up
mention it.
with
It's
people.
okay.
Oh,
It's okay.
God.
We share, and Cal's right. It's important to share and be open about it sometimes. And never again for me personally, because I hate it. But other people should definitely share.
Dude.
I'll be honest. Other people definitely. Me, no.
God, the nervous laughter's coming out now.
Yeah, right.
I genuinely.
In which case, then, I will move quickly on, because it's what I do with trauma, to, if you don't mind, Callum, my little real-life stats thing, if that's okay.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes. Right, so, Amber, you should have been sent a Word document. I say you should have.
Yes.
I sent it, so I know you did. And at the bottom of that Word document is a standard array of what we're hoping to be your real-life stats as a Dungeon Master. So,
Oh, God.
I've gone through it multiple times, but if this is the only episode you watch, guys, I will go through it again. We have rules knowledge, improv, combat, story, not discriminations, descriptions.
What?
Yeah. Sorry. Descriptions and showmanship. So you have to put those in a standard array, so 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8.
Oh, my God.
Amber.
Yeah, I gotta get a pen. I gotta get a paper. Oh, wait. Here we are. Hold on. It just helps me process.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. So,
Okay.
we'll start. Do you want to start at the top or at the bottom?
Hold on. Give me like 2 seconds. 13, 12, 10, 8. Okay. Okay. I'm thinking. Oh, boy. I mean, story is 15 without a doubt.
Story
is
at the top. At the top.
Yeah, story for me absolutely at the top. I mean, I the whole purpose of like not only just like my TTRPG career, but like literally like what I've chosen to do professionally outside of TTRPGs is based in storytelling and like giving voices to people to tell their stories. So, yes, 15. 14, oh boy. I think lending into that would also be improv. Yeah, because of course, if you're going to tell the story and you're going to make up a story as you go, you need to have some modicum of improving and you know, ability to say yes and roll with the punches. So 14 definitely closely tied to that. 13 descriptions.
Okay.
So, because if you're going to introduce people to the world, help them feel immersed, or as a player, you know, help the rest of the people at your table understand like what you're going through, what the emotions your character's feeling, or like all of that, you're gonna need a decent grasp on descriptions. And I am really showing my ass here because I'm 12. Okay, hold on. 12 is gonna be showmanship.
For those listening on podcasts, she's not actually showing her ass. I don't want anyone to just be jumping over to YouTube this second.
No,
it's
oh
a
my God,
metaphor,
no.
guys. It's a metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it might be. It is. Oh gosh, it is 90 degrees Fahrenheit here. That's what 80 something. Oh, no, not 80 something. 30 something for y'all.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Like 33, something like that. I don't know. Still hot.
Yeah, it's obscene. But yeah, so yeah, showmanship number 12. Yeah, because I think that you need 15 through 13 in order to excel at showmanship.
Okay.
Is what I'm going for. 10. Okay, 10 is gonna be rules knowledge. And not for want of saying like I don't know the rules, but for saying like for me, I'm willing to bend the rules just a little bit as a GM or allow my players to bend the rules a little bit if it's like allows them to tell a better story, or it allows their character to have like face a certain consequence, or or get a certain boon. Like it is rules are made to be broken in that instance, because I don't want like another player leaving my table saying, oh, Amber told me that I can't do this because they're so strict about the rules. Absolutely not. And then combat 8. Listen, I'm not tactical. I don't. War games, not my thing. Like yeah. The combat is like, even though that is the one with all the dice rolls, at least in D&D and in Pathfinder, like for me, it is. I want to play around with like the feats. I want to play around with like the cool abilities that I can do that I can't in real life. So combat is going to be the lower one. I'm sorry, but
Don't apologize. I agree. Look,
yeah.
I'm with you all the way on that.
I've been to ask Carl, have you done this a standard array with your real life stats?
You're gonna make me do it, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
All right, we'll do it in a later episode.
Okay.
Then,
or a previous episode, depends what comes up.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
true.
then I will be honest. I do on my Twitter have like my stats that I give myself, where I gave myself like a +5 in like
Dude.
intelligence and charisma, but then like a -5 in constitution and strength, and that's because I am very, very physically ill all the time. and yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna win in a fight because I have joint issues.
Oh. Because I'm falling apart somehow.
Oh.
It's fine. It's fine. So yeah, like I think this is very indicative.
We
of
actually have, because I've got mine. The one on the left of the document is mine. So we're quite similar. So I've got, from top to bottom, descriptions, improv, story, showmanship, combat, and then rules knowledge. Because I don't know any of the rules, and if someone convinces me that what a rule is, I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Sure, let's do that.
I mean, shoot. Potion's always a free action. If you need to take like a health potion or something, that's always a free action. Making an extra action as a rule, I mean, or like a full action as a rule, I feel like, come on. Why you gotta be a dick? Come on.
Come on. I'm only having a shot. Leave me alone.
Yeah, just having a quick swig.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right, we're going to be finishing up very, very shortly, and I wanted to ask you the people to thank question earlier, because you know there's, I mean, I see everyone you're involved with, and I had a feeling you'd want to say some stuff about them, and I was right.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to where can people find you, Amber?
Where can't you find me? So I, oh my god, I actually just revamped like that, you know, like the hub or whatever where all my links are. So if you want to find me directly and talk to me directly, find me at the SpaceJamber on Twitter. Which actually that username predates my TTRPG involvement. I just was drunk watching Space Jam at a community event, and I was like, oh, my name mashes up and I need a new Instagram handle anyway.
It's fate. That is fate.
Yes. Thank you, Liquor, for that decision. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at the SpaceJamber, or you can, if you want to find everything, my Twitter, my TikTok, my Twitch, my YouTube, my whatever, commissioning me to do your editing or your social media content strategy or whatever, you can find that at thespacejamber.cool, as in the opposite of hot. That is my website where you can click and find all the fun things you need.
Not to be picky, but your TikTok link doesn't work.
It doesn't? Oh, no. I'm going to fix that. Okay. I'm going to fix that before this goes live. I have now a month and a half to do that.
Yes. So hopefully by now it does work, because if it still doesn't, someone should tell her, because it rarely should be fixed by now.
Yeah. Well, now I'm going to, like, you know, immediately after logging off of this, I'm going to fix that because my anxiety will tell me otherwise. So
I'm sorry.
I do want to ask you as well, just finally, charities that you're involved with. I know that you did, was it the reproductive rights one recently, the stream for that. And can you tell us a bit about the charities that you're involved with and
oh my God,
you know where to find them as well?
Absolutely. So my biggest one, my biggest affiliation, I would say, is well, two of them. Either the Foundation for Inclusivity in Gaming, which is a BIPOC and LGBT plus led foundation that actually platforms and gives the voices to specifically BIPOC and LGBT plus creators in the space. We are about to sponsor Lexi from Black Girl Mage. She's going to be our first official sponsored person. So really, really excited for things that are coming up on the pike there. So there's that, and then but also outside of the space, God, I guess what haven't I done? I used to work very, very closely with NARAL, Pro-Choice America, and Planned Parenthood, local affiliates rather. And so Planned Parenthood and the National Network of Abortion Funds are very, very near and close to my heart, just as somebody that, has, female reproductive organs and if currently is under attack by at least 30 states, but also, just has been involved in the movement for 12 years and it's not going to stop. So, very, very blessed to have been involved with them. What else? Oh my God. There's so many, but those are my top three is FIG, Planned Parenthood, and National Network of Abortion Funds. If DC Abortion Fund too, but that's just because that's hyper local and yeah.
Well, for all of those, we'll make sure to put the links to your video to where you can go and check out all the work they do and donate and support
please.
and all that good stuff. Paul, any final words from you, sir?
No, I have been Paul, aka Ampersand. You can find me, we release these every Wednesday, but you can find me on either side of them on both Tuesday evenings and Thursday evenings, where I'm a player in Blades of the Dark and I run Homebrew Havoc. Who knows what we're up to in Homebrew Havoc in a month and a half? We could have another sentient fridge, and they could be a polyamorous relationship by now. Who knows?
Yes, they will.
It wouldn't be the weirdest thing to happen in Homebrew Havoc still, so yeah.
I want to be protected by a fridge.
It can't even talk. Awesome. It just claps its feet whenever it tries to send a message.
Oh, wait, that's wholesome.
Yeah, the polyamorous fridge is pretty cool. That's great, Paul. And yes, be sure to check out Paul. You can find me at Seeley D&D on Twitter and Homebrew Havoc, and go to seeleydnd.com. If you want to check out any funny clips and various TTRPG nonsense. This has been a very emotional episode of Carl's Questions. It's been amazing talking to you, Amber. Thank you so much for being. Hey, but really appreciate it. These are all topics that need to be discussed, and I'm glad that TTRPG Space provides a space where people feel comfortable enough to talk about it. So thank you so much for opening up, and same to you, Paul, as well. And we'll leave it there. But thank you so much, and we'll catch you all very soon on Carl's Questions. Goodbye from all of us.
Bye-bye.
Thank you both for having me. This was such a great way to spend my afternoon. Really.